Hey there, history buffs and fans of the supernatural. Today we're taking a trip back to 1692 to the infamous Salem Witch Trials. Buckle up because things are about to get spooky, strange, and even a little bit ridiculous. Salem, Massachusetts wasn't always known for its witchy history. Before it became synonymous with sorcery and spectral evidence, it was just your average New England settlement. That is, if your average settlement included a healthy dose of religious fervor, social paranoia, and a dash of good old-fashioned power struggles. In 1692, something strange happened in Salem. Actually, a lot of strange things happened, one after another. It all started with a few young women, some unusual behavior, and a whole lot of finger pointing. Before you could say spectral evidence, Salem found itself in the grip of a full-blown witch hunt with no end in sight. To understand the Salem Witch Trials, you have to understand the Puritans and their way of life. These were folks who left England for religious freedom, only to create a society even stricter than the one they left behind, with rigid rules and expectations. Imagine a world without Netflix, TikTok, or even decent coffee. No entertainment, no distractions. That was life for the Puritans, simple and austere. The Puritans were big on hard work, piety, and following the rules to the letter. They believed that the devil was real, always lurking, and ready to tempt good Christians astray at any moment. They also believed that witches were real and in league with the devil, causing harm and chaos. In Salem, life revolved around the church, the community, and a healthy dose of fear and suspicion, fear of the unknown, fear of the devil, and fear of your neighbor accusing you of witchcraft at any time. It wasn't exactly a recipe for a relaxing afternoon or a peaceful life. Our story begins with a group of young women who, like teenagers everywhere, probably just wanted attention. They started exhibiting some odd behavior like fits, convulsions, and strange utterances. Now, we all know teenagers can be dramatic, but in 1692, Salem, this kind of behavior was less awkward phase and more sign of demonic possession. The young women, now known as the afflicted girls, began to accuse people in the community of witchcraft. And who were these alleged witches? Well, it started with the usual suspects, outsiders, social misfits, and women who didn't quite fit the Puritan mold. The accusations spread like wildfire, fueled by fear, suspicion, and maybe a little bit of boredom. It wasn't long before the entire community was caught up in the frenzy. Now, you might be wondering, how do you prove someone is a witch in those times? Good question. In Salem, they relied on something called spectral evidence, which was quite controversial. Basically, if someone claimed they saw your spirit doing witchy things in their dreams or visions, that was enough to convict you of witchcraft. Yes, you heard that right. Dreams, visions, nightmares. It was basically like saying, Your Honor, I had a nightmare about this woman turning into a cat and stealing my socks. Clearly, she's a witch. And the court was like, solid evidence. Guilty as charged. No questions asked. The trials were a chaotic mix of religious zealotry, personal vendettas, and what we would now call mass hysteria and paranoia. People were accusing each other left and right without any real proof, and the jails were filling up faster than a Starbucks on a Monday morning rush hour. Section 5, the trials. because due process was so last century. The trials themselves were a mockery of justice. The accused were often denied legal representation and subjected to absurd tests and interrogations. Imagine being thrown into a pond to see if you float. Of course, witches obviously don't sink, or being forced to recite the Lord's Prayer backward, because who hasn't tried that at least once? The trials were a mess. The evidence was questionable at best, and the punishments were severe. Over 200 people were accused of witchcraft, and 20 innocent souls lost their lives. The Salem Witch Trials were a dark chapter in American history, a stark reminder of what can happen when fear and paranoia grip a community. To Section 6, the aftermath. Oops, our bad. Sorry about those executions. As the hysteria died down, people started to realize that maybe, just maybe, they had made a mistake. You know that feeling you get when you realize you accidentally threw away your phone with the trash? Yeah, it was kind of like that, except instead of a phone, it was innocent lives. The trials were officially declared unlawful, and the accused were exonerated. Well, most of them. It took a while for everyone to get their good name back. Some were never officially cleared. Awkward. The Salem Witch Trials became a cautionary tale about the dangers of mass hysteria, false accusations, and the importance of a fair trial. Section 7, lessons learned, or were they? So what did we learn from the Salem Witch Trials? Well, for starters, spectral evidence is not a reliable source of information. Also, maybe don't accuse your neighbor of witchcraft just because they have a weird-looking cat. The Salem Witch Trials remind us that fear and ignorance can be a dangerous combination. They also show us that even in the face of injustice, there will always be those who stand up for what's right. The trials may be over, but their legacy lives on, reminding us to be wary of unfounded accusations, to value critical thinking, and to always, always stand up for the marginalized and the maligned.